Indira's emergency was unjust and unacceptable. Too much power concentrated in one person is injurious to the health of democracy. Indira's followers may well have seen her as a Durga-like goddess. Modi's army project him as a self-styled non-biological god. The political playbook that Indira Gandhi used in 1975 is being carried forward in the Modi era, both at the center and in the states.
भाइयों और बहनों, राष्ट्रपति जी ने आपातकाल की घोषणा की है। इससे आतंकित होने का कोई कारण नहीं है।
Namaskar, hello and welcome friends once again to Straight Bat, my weekly video blog where, as the title suggests, I comment with a straight bat. This week, the country has marked 50 years of Indira Gandhi's 1975 emergency. The BJP government has in particular gone all out to remember the occasion as Samvidhan Hatya Divas, or the murder of the Constitution in 1975. The Congress has struck back in a way by claiming that there is an undeclared emergency under Prime Minister Modi's leadership in the country at the moment. Which opens up the question, can Indira Gandhi's 1975 emergency be really compared to Modi's alleged undeclared emergency of 2025? Let's be clear, friends. Drawing an equivalence between 1975 and 2025 is, in my view, badly flawed. You cannot in any way try and bring in a moral or political equivalence to dilute what happened in June 1975 by simply drawing parallels with today's India. Indira's emergency was unjust and unacceptable. You do not arrest thousands of people overnight, target opposition and dissenting voices, pack them off in jail, dismiss opposition-ruled governments, impose press censorship, suspend fundamental rights, take coercive action like Nasbandi, even bloody well ban a Kishore Kumar of all people and his songs from Doordarshan and All India Radio only because he refused to sing at a Congress party event. Sorry, whatever be the so-called context, what Indira Gandhi and to a large extent her son Sanjay Gandhi did at a time was plain and simply wrong. It was a constitutional coup by which democracy was arrested and put in pause mode. So if anyone today chooses to defend the emergency, whatever be their justification for it, sorry, wrong number. Which is why, in my view, instead of comparing 1975 with 2025, here is the question to be asked. Have we really learned the lessons of 1975, or is the mindset of authoritarianism that was prevalent at the time also prevalent today? If we answer that question honestly, we may find an honest answer. To my mind, therefore, I want to look at 6 unlearned lessons of 1975 that should trouble us today. 1. Too much power concentrated in one person is injurious to the health of democracy. Indira Gandhi got away with the emergency for a while because post her huge election victory in 1971, the Garibi Hatao election and subsequent campaign to win a war with Pakistan and liberate and create Bangladesh, she believed she was invincible, that her power was permanent and she could do whatever she wanted with total impunity. When Devkant Barua, the then Congress president, said, "India is Indira and Indira is India," it was precisely the kind of sycophantic chamchagiri personality cult politics that, dare I say, one hears today also when BJP cheerleaders continuously say Modi hai to mumkin hai. Almost as if no one else really matters in government and in a country of 1.4 billion people. Indira's followers may well have seen her as a Durga-like goddess. Modi's army may project him as a self-styled non-biological god. But this kind of hero worship is, to quote Baba Sahib Ambedkar, a path to degradation and eventual dictatorship. So, unlearned lesson number 1 from 1975, avoid personality cult building in a parliamentary democracy. Lesson number 2, stop treating the police and enforcement agencies as your private army, as many politicians are wont to do. During the emergency, this is precisely what Indira Gandhi did. The police was ruthlessly used to arrest her opponents by misusing draconian laws like the Maintenance of Internal Security Act or MISA. Income tax and foreign exchange laws like COFEPOSA were used to raid critics and generally create a climate of fear and intimidation. Today, both at the center and in state governments, leaders in power often use their control over the police and enforcement agencies to target their political opponents. I have said this before, but maybe it bears repetition again. Does the enforcement directorate in this country only find money laundering in opposition-ruled states? Are all BJP-ruled states doodh ka dhula hua pure as driven snow? Why is it that more than 90% of the politicians charged under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act or PMLA in the last decade are from the opposition? Why is it that the moment a leader switches sides and joins the government, he or she is suddenly put through a large washing machine and cases against them are dropped or slowed down? This is nothing but misuse and abuse of power, unacceptable to my mind in a democracy. So that is lesson number 2. Lesson number 3. Please stop destroying institutions. Make no mistake, it was Indira Gandhi's period that saw the gradual erosion of institutional integrity in this country. Judges were superseded. The bureaucracy was made to become fiercely aligned to the supreme leader. Parliament was torpedoed. President's office and governors became simply rubber stamps. Today, the government still sits on judicial appointments it deems inconvenient. The bureaucracy is a handmaiden of those in power. Parliament is mostly a notice board to only serve the government's agenda. And Rashtrapati Bhavan and Raj Bhavans have little or zero autonomy. In the process, there are hardly any checks and balances in our system left. Just look at the manner in which the Right to Information Act, for example, is being systematically undermined. Or indeed, the Election Commission's so-called neutrality that has now come under the scanner. The political playbook that Indira Gandhi used in 1975 is being carried forward in the Modi era, both at the center and in the states. Only a tad more brazenly, and with even less of a pushback from the state and from civil society. Lesson number 4. The rise of extra constitutional authorities and the vigilantism that is coming with it. You see, much of the order, my friends, during the emergency in 1975 was because of the manner in which Sanjay Gandhi and his groupies went about exercising their unbridled power. Forced sterilization or Nasbandi being a classic example. Sanjay Gandhi at the time was not an elected MP, but he used his proximity to the Prime Minister to become arguably the most powerful and feared figure in the country. Be it a Maruti plant or the Nasbandi campaign, every rule was bent to accommodate Sanjay and his cronies. Today we have vigilante armies who terrorize minority groups, who brazenly engage in hate speech, who will resort to violence if required, and believe they have the protection of those in power. Only this week in Bengaluru, an auto rickshaw driver was allegedly confronted by a group of drunk men and assaulted when he refused to chant Jai Shri Ram. This weaponization of religion, like the weaponization of enforcement agencies, is dangerous. Arguably even more dangerous at times than the thuggish behavior we saw during the emergency. The normalization of communal narratives in particular is an assault on constitutional rights and sensibilities. So be careful there as well. Lesson number 5. The media must stay unchained. One of the most pernicious aspects of Indira Gandhi's emergency was the way she dealt with the media. Nehru's daughter gagging the press was a dark and awful moment for India's nascent democracy and indeed for the media in general. Except a few newspapers like the Indian Express and the Statesman and a few brave small magazines like Himmat, most of the media buckled, leading L.K. Advani to famously quote, "They crawled when asked to bend." Today I am afraid when people are asked to crawl, there will be those who will happily prostrate and do what is called the Shashtang Namaskar. The excesses of Indira's emergency stayed hidden till exposed post 1977, principally because the media failed to do its duty. If you don't tell truth to power, how will the truth ever come out? Sunlight is the best disinfectant. There were far too many areas of media darkness in 1975, many of them which still exist today. Okay, so maybe I would have been thrown in jail, you could argue, for criticizing the Indira government in 1975. Today, there are many social media and digital revolutionaries who can still speak their mind out against the government without fear of retribution, but that is scant comfort. Please think of an outstanding citizen like a Prabir Purkayasth, a septuagenarian who edited a small website like NewsClick, but was pushed into jail where he spent months under highly specious grounds only because his website was anti-government. Prabir in fact has the unique distinction of being arrested during the emergency in 1975 and now also being arrested in Modi's India. And he's not alone. There are many others who have suffered in different ways. From journalists being sacked to sedition charges being put against them to ED investigations to takeovers of media channels. There are enough instances of how state power has been ruthlessly used and has had a chilling effect on media freedoms. If you want to know more on this particular topic, you should read the media chapter in my 2024 election book. But if you have a craven and muzzled media, believe me, it is harmful to democracy in a major way. My final lesson. Let's then turn now to my final lesson. The elite, especially the urban middle class elite, must speak up. In 1975, the middle class, initially at least, appeared to cheer Indira Gandhi's emergency, in the false belief, as it turned out, that it would bring the much needed discipline to a chaotic society. The trains, we were told, would now be running on time. By the time this urban elite woke up to the reality of authoritarian rule, it was sadly too little too late. Nevertheless, even at that time, there were public-spirited groups like the PUCL, the People's Union for Civil Liberties, and a few brave crusaders who played an important role in highlighting the abuse of human rights and civil liberties in Indira Gandhi's time. Today too, I at times sense a troubling normalization of authoritarian behavior amongst our elites. When someone is arrested for a tweet or a YouTube video, or a stand-up comedian is being targeted, or a cartoon critical of whoever is in power leads to imprisonment, should we not raise our collective voice far more forcefully as citizens? Silence, my friends, is cowardice. Reversing a democratic recession and creeping autocracy needs far more men and women with a spine to push back whenever there is a misuse of power. That, to my mind, is one of the enduring lessons of 1975 that we need to relearn in a way. As I said at the very outset, rather than comparing 1975 to 2025, we should learn the lessons from the past to ensure that they are never repeated in the future. Think about it. That was the Straight Bat. Do, of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel for many more such videos. For now, stay well, stay safe. Jai Hind. Namaskar.